The ballroom of the Astoria Grand was a cathedral of light and luxury. Every chandelier a galaxy. Every table a universe unto itself. Crystal glasses gleamed in perfect rows. The kind of detail only noticed when the world came crashing down. Guests leaned in their chairs, murmuring about the merger of power and beauty about to unfold at the altar. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a coronation. Adrian Sterling, billionaire founder of Sterling Labs, would bind his empire to Vivian Brooks, socialite turned PR queen. Cameras perched like vultures in the balconies, lenses hungry for a headline. Adrian stood straight back to the altar, tuxedo immaculate, his hair swept into place with precision. He was a man sculpted by the world's expectations, and he wore his control like armor. Vivian, radiant in her diamond-dusted gown, floated down the aisle, her father steady at her side. Guests craned their necks. Sighs rippled like a chorus. This was the moment magazines promised. This was perfection. Until it wasn't. You're my dad. Please don't marry her. The voice cracked through the music, higher than the violins, stronger than the gasps that followed. Heads whipped toward the back. A boy, 8 years old at most, stood framed in the doorway. His shirt was wrinkled, his shoes scuffed, but his presence blazed brighter than any diamond in the room. In one hand, he clutched a toy car, in the other, a crumpled paper. His chest rose and fell as though he had run miles. The guests erupted in whispers. Vivian froze mid-step. Adrian turned, his chest constricting. The boy's gaze pierced through the flowers, the cameras, the crowd. "You're my dad," he repeated, louder this time. "Don't marry her." The quartet faltered, notes screeching to silence. Flashbulbs burst. Vivian's face hardened beneath her veil. Her lips moved without breaking her smile. Security. Remove him. The guard stirred, but Adrian's voice lashed out. "Stop." The word rang like steel. The room hushed, uncertain which law to obey. The brides or the billionaires. Adrian's eyes locked on the boy's wrist. A bracelet of blue and silver threads. A compass charm glinted under the chandeliers. A memory slammed into him. Prague, a street market, Maya's laughter echoing off stone walls. 2 compasses bought as tokens of forever. One he'd kept, one he'd given to her. His breath hitched. Vivian leaned closer, her whisper venomous. "Adrian, this is a setup. Do not engage." But he already had. "What's your name?" he asked, voice softening. The boy squared his shoulders. "Noah." "Noah," Adrian repeated, the syllables tasting like destiny. Noah stepped forward, holding out the crumpled paper. "My mom said if I ever got lost or scared, I should give you this." Adrian unfolded it. 2 words in familiar handwriting. "I'm sorry." His heart stopped. The ballroom doors opened again, and gasps cascaded like dominoes. A woman entered. Simple dress, hair pinned hastily, eyes carrying storms. Maya Thompson. The past wrapped itself around the present like barbed wire. Adrian's first love, his last heartbreak, the woman who had vanished a decade ago, leaving him angry, hollow, and ruthless. And beside her, the boy with his eyes. The crowd whispered, "Is that his mistress? His child?" Vivian's smile cracked into shards. "This is insane. Adrian, and this..." But Adrian wasn't listening. His world had narrowed to the compass charm and the boy who wore it. He crouched to Noah's level. "Did your mom tell you to come here?" Noah shook his head. "She told me not to, but I wanted to meet you." Silence choked the room. Even the cameras seemed to hold their breath. Vivian hissed, "He's lying. She's manipulating you." Maya stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. "He's not lying, Vivian. He's telling the truth." The collective gasp of 500 guests rattled the chandeliers. Vivian's control snapped. "Adrian, if you acknowledge this circus, you humiliate us both. You humiliate me." Adrian's hands trembled as he touched the compass charm. The engraving was still there. "Find your way home." His voice broke as he whispered, "No one touches them. Not him. Not her." Gasps swept the room again. Vivian's face blanched. "You're destroying everything." But Adrian was already moving. "Grayson," he called to his PR chief. "The library. Now. Grayson Lee, already sweating, nodded into his headset. Guards shifted, forming a wall against the paparazzi swarming outside. Adrian took Noah's hand, small, warm, fragile. Maya followed. Vivian stood frozen, fury radiating off her like fire. Scene 2, the library. The library smelled of leather and old money. Floor-to-ceiling shelves towered overhead, filled with books guests never touched. A fire flickered in the hearth, its heat failing to thaw the ice in Adrian's veins. Noah stood awkwardly, toy car spinning in his hand. Maya remained near the door, her back stiff. Adrian paced like a man who had lost a map he'd sworn he'd never need. Finally, he stopped, his eyes locked on hers. "Why didn't you tell me?" Maya's throat tightened. "I tried." "No," he snapped. "You disappeared. You vanished. And now you—" His voice cracked. He turned to Noah. "And now you bring him into this circus?" Maya's eyes filled with tears. "He wanted to meet you." Noah looked up, timid but determined. "Are you really my dad?" The question detonated inside Adrian. He opened his mouth, but no sound came. Maya knelt beside Noah. "He is. I swear it." Adrian staggered back. He wanted to demand proof, to call it impossible. But the compass on Noah's wrist gleamed with the weight of truth. "Why now?" he whispered. Maya's eyes burned. "Because I couldn't protect him forever. And because he deserves to know who you are." The fire crackled. Outside, the wedding guests buzzed like bees. Inside, time froze. Scene 3, the PR storm. The library door burst open. Grayson slipped inside. Phone pressed his ear. Face pale. "Adrian, the press has the story already. Hashtag Sterling scandal is trending. Do we confirm or deny?" Adrian's head spun. Vivian stormed in behind Grayson, veil discarded, fury unmasked. "Deny. Deny everything. Say he's a liar. Say she's a grifter. If you don't, Adrian, your empire burns tonight." Maya flinched. Noah clutched her hand. Adrian's eyes blazed. "I won't call a child a liar." Vivian's voice turned icy. "Then you choose them over me. Over us." Adrian's silence was louder than any answer. Vivian's laugh was sharp, brittle. "You're a fool. Do you know what you've done?" She spun on her heel and stormed out. The door slammed. Grayson muttered, "We need a statement, or you'll lose the board, the shareholders, everything." Adrian ignored him. He looked at Noah. "Do you want me to be your dad?" Noah's eyes filled with something raw and honest. "I just want a dad who wants me." The words shattered Adrian. Scene 4, the compass. Adrian knelt. "May I see that bracelet?" Noah held out his wrist. Adrian turned the charm over. "Trace an engraving. Find your way home." He swallowed hard. "Where did you get this?" Noah smiled faintly. "Mom said you gave it to her, and that it belonged to me, too." Tears blurred Adrian's vision. The compass pointed nowhere, and everywhere. Scene 5, the cliffhanger. Grayson's phone buzzed violently. He glanced at the screen, face draining of color. "What now?" Adrian asked. Grayson looked up, his voice shaking. "There's already a court order. Someone filed paternity papers this morning, before the wedding even began." "Adrian, this isn't just gossip. This is legal." Adrian's world tilted again. Maya's eyes widened in shock. "I didn't." But before she could finish, the library door cracked open. A process server stepped in, envelope in hand. "Mr. Sterling, you've been served." The papers slapped into Adrian's palm like a verdict. His empire, his wedding, his life, all detonated in a single day. He looked at Noah, at Maya, at the compass charm. And for the first time in his life, Adrian Sterling didn't know how to calculate the cost. The envelope still burned in Adrian's palm long after the server slipped out of the library. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Outside, the orchestra struggled to restart, but the notes clattered like glass across marble floors. Guests whispered behind manicured hands. Cameras pressed against the windows like wolves. Adrian stared at the papers. The bold header read, "Family Court of the State of New York." Beneath it, Petition for paternity and custody. His name was scrawled across every page. Maya's face drained of color. Adrian, I didn't. I know, he cut in, though his voice betrayed him. He didn't know. He didn't know anything anymore. Noah tugged on his sleeve. Does this mean you're not my dad? The question pierced deeper than any lawsuit. Adrian crouched, meeting his son's eyes. It means people want proof, he said softly. But sometimes proof isn't as important as the truth. Grayson, phone pressed to his ear, muttered, We have a disaster. TMZ is live. The Times wants a statement. Twitter's already a bonfire. Adrian, we need to get ahead of this. Vivian stormed back into the library, fury burning through her composure. Get ahead of this? We bury it. We deny everything. Maya, you and your little stunt. Maya bristled. This isn't a stunt. This is his child. Vivian's voice cracked into a shriek. He is not his child. He is not ours. And you, she jabbed a finger at Adrian. If you even breathe the word acknowledgement, everything we built goes up in flames. Adrian straightened slowly. Everything we've built? His voice turned to ice. Vivian, what exactly have we built? Her lips trembled, fury and fear colliding. Power. Prestige. A life above all of this. She waved at Maya and Noah like they were pests in a palace. And you're willing to throw it away? Adrian glanced at the compass charm dangling from Noah's wrist. His chest tightened. Maybe what I'm throwing away wasn't worth keeping. Vivian recoiled as it slapped. Her veil slipped from her fingers, pooling on the floor like surrender. Then you'll regret this, she whispered. I promise you. She turned on her heel and vanished, her heels stabbing the marble like gunshots. The library fell silent. Noah fidgeted, eyes wide. Is she mad? Adrian forced a smile. Don't worry about her. He turned to Grayson. Schedule a DNA test. Discreet. Today. Grayson's mouth opened, closed, then opened again. Adrian, you realize what you're doing? If this child is yours, we can't control the fallout. And if he isn't, you'll look like a fool. Schedule it, Adrian repeated. His voice brooked no argument. Scene 2, the fallout. By nightfall, headlines had already multiplied. Billionaire's wedding shattered by child's claim. Sterling Labs CEO accused of secret family. Who is Noah Thompson? Stock tickers scrolled red. Investors called. Board members whispered of instability. At Sterling Labs headquarters, the glass tower pulsed with light as executives huddled in war rooms. Screens glowed with images of Adrian at the altar, Noah clutching the paper, Maya framed in the doorway, every angle dissected, every gesture magnified. Adrian sat in his penthouse office, the city sprawling below, but for the first time the skyline looked like a prison instead of a kingdom. Grayson paced. We need a unified message. Deny until DNA. That's standard protocol. Adrian shook his head. I won't call a child a liar. Grayson groaned. Then you'll bleed credibility before the results even exist. Then, so be it. Maya sat quietly in the corner, Noah asleep on her lap. Her eyes flickered between Adrian and the window, searching for words. Finally, she whispered, He only wanted to know you. Adrian's throat tightened. He had fought mergers, lawsuits, and competitors, but nothing unnerved him like the weight of a child's simple wish. Scene 3, the boardroom. The next morning, the boardroom buzzed with hostility. Men and women in suits lined the table, their faces grim. Adrian, one director began, This is untenable. Your personal scandal is tanking our stock. If you don't resolve this immediately, we'll have no choice but to consider leadership change. Another added, The company's image is built on your stability. If you can't control your personal life, how can you control Sterling Labs? Adrian's jaw clenched. My personal life doesn't define this company. My work does. Tell that to the shareholders. A third snapped. Grayson leaned forward. We have a plan. DNA test. We deny until proven. We emphasize focus on innovation, not distraction. The board murmured. Adrian cut through the noise. I'll take the test. But until then, you don't move against me. His glare silenced them. You built this empire on my vision. If you want to rip it apart over gossip, be my guest. But you'll do it without me. The room froze. No one dared push further. Scene 4, Father and Son. That evening, Adrian found himself sitting across from Noah in the quiet of the penthouse. The boy's legs dangled off the edge of a leather sofa, his toy car clutched tight. Adrian cleared his throat. Do you like cars? Noah nodded. This one's my favorite. It's a Mustang. My mom says you used to drive one. Adrian blinked. She told you that? She said you like fast things, that you were always chasing the future. Adrian chuckled softly. Sadness threaded in the sound. She's not wrong. Noah tilted his head. Do you want me to be your future? The question gutted him. For a man who had measured his life in profits and progress, nothing had ever felt so important. He swallowed. I think you already are. Noah smiled shyly. For the first time, Adrian felt something heavier than wealth, something richer than empire, responsibility. Scene 5, the test. The following morning, Adrian, Maya, and Noah arrived at a private clinic under heavy secrecy. Doctors took samples, sealed them, and promised results within 48 hours. Adrian exhaled for the first time in days. Proof would come. The truth would finally end the whispers. But that night, Grayson burst into his office, face ashen. We have a problem. Adrian looked up sharply. What now? The lab reported a breach. Someone tampered with the samples. The results are invalid. Adrian's blood ran cold. Who? Grayson shook his head. They don't know. But whoever it was, they wanted to erase the truth before it surfaced. Adrian's fists clenched. His empire had enemies. But now his family did too. Maya's voice trembled. Adrian, what if they never let us prove it? Adrian looked at Noah asleep on the couch, compass charm glinting under the city lights. His chest hardened into resolve. Then we don't just prove it, he said. We fight for it. The night after the tampered DNA test, Adrian Sterling sat alone in his penthouse office, Manhattan glittering below like 1,000 eyes waiting for him to fail. The papers on his desk weren't spreadsheets or contracts this time. They were tabloid clippings. His wedding photos, frozen mid-disaster, plastered across headlines. Sterling heir? Child crashes billionaire ceremony. CEO Sterling, father fraud or both? Vivian Brooks walks out on groom. He crumpled one headline and hurled it across the room. The door creaked. Maya entered quietly, a blanket draped over her arm. Noah had fallen asleep in the guest room hours ago, compass charm still glinting faintly on his wrist. You should sleep, Maya said softly. I can't, Adrian muttered. His eyes were bloodshot, his hands clenched on the armrest. Somebody broke into that lab. Someone wanted to bury the truth. Maya set the blanket down and met his eyes. You think it was Vivian? He laughed bitterly. If it wasn't her, it was someone with as much to lose. The board, maybe, investors. The truth about Noah threatens more than my marriage. Maya hesitated. So what now? Adrian leaned forward, his voice low, burning. Now I find out who's trying to erase him from my life. And when I do, I won't let them breathe. Scene 2, the investigation. The next morning, Adrian summoned Grayson to his office. Grayson, usually smooth under fire, looked frayed. Talk, Adrian snapped. The clinic had no sign of forced entry, Grayson explained, fiddling with his tie. Whoever did this had access. Someone with clearance, someone trusted. Adrian's jaw tightened. So we're looking at inside help. Grayson nodded reluctantly. Yes. And Adrian, the board is restless. They want answers. They want you to cut ties with Maya and the boy until this is settled. Adrian's glare cut like ice. They want me to abandon him. They want you to survive, Grayson corrected. Adrian slammed his fist onto the desk. Survive without my son? That's not survival. That's surrender. Grayson swallowed hard. Then we need proof. A new test. Somewhere no one can touch. Scene 3. The board's ultimatum. 2 days later, Adrian faced the board again. The long mahogany table stretched like a battlefield, lined with sharp suits and sharper eyes. "Mr. Sterling," the chairman began, voice heavy with disdain, "the scandal has cost us hundreds of millions in market value. Our reputation is bleeding." Another chimed in, "Investors are questioning your leadership. We cannot afford indecision." Adrian leaned back, unyielding. "This is an indecision. It's war. Someone sabotaged evidence. Someone in this city is afraid of the truth. If I walk away now, I prove them right." The chairman's voice dropped cold. "Then you leave us no choice. Either resolve this immediately, or we convene a vote to replace you." A murmur swept the room. Adrian stood slowly, his shadow falling long across the polished floor. "If you think you can run Sterling Labs without me, go ahead. But know this, when I prove the truth, it won't be me who falls. It'll be whoever tried to bury my son." The silence was suffocating. Adrian walked out, leaving the board in his wake. Scene 4 passed unraveled. That night, Adrian found Maya sitting on the balcony, the city wind tangling her hair. She clutched a cup of tea, but her eyes were miles away. "Why did you leave?" he demanded. Maya flinched. "Adrian, not now." 10 years, Maya. 10 years of silence. You owed me an answer then. You owe me one now. Her voice cracked. "I was pregnant. I panicked. I was scared." His chest burned. "Scared of me?" "Scared of everything," she whispered. "Your world was already consuming you. The press, the investors, the expectations. I was drowning in it. I thought, if I told you, you'd choose your empire over us. So I ran. I thought I was protecting Noah." Adrian's voice trembled, fury laced with pain. "You didn't protect him. You robbed him. You robbed me." Tears slipped down Maya's cheeks. "And I hate myself for it. But he's here now. Don't punish him for my mistake." The silence between them stretched, thick with regret. "Finally," Adrian whispered, "I don't know if I can forgive you." Maya's voice was steady through her tears. "I don't need forgiveness. I just need you to be his father." Scene 5, a father's moment. Later, Adrian tucked Noah into bed. The boy blinked sleepily. Toy car clutched against his chest. "Dad?" Noah asked softly. Adrian froze. The word sliced him open, yet stitched something inside. "Yes." "Do you think we'll be a family?" Adrian's throat closed. He brushed a hand across Noah's hair. "I don't know what tomorrow brings, Noah. But tonight, yes. Tonight we're family." Noah smiled faintly, drifting into dreams. Adrian sat by his side long after, guarding him against a world that wanted to erase him. Scene 6, the evidence. 3 nights later, Grayson burst into Adrian's office with a folder. His face was pale. "You need to see this." Inside were security stills from the clinic. A blurred figure in a nurse's uniform. A gloved hand switching labels on vials. Adrian leaned closer, heart pounding. "Enhance it." Grayson hesitated. "We did. Adrian, it's someone close." The image sharpened. Adrian's stomach dropped. The figure wasn't Vivian. It wasn't an anonymous saboteur. It was a senior board member of Sterling Labs. Adrian's blood ran cold. His empire wasn't under attack from outside. It was being poisoned from within. The office lights burned long after midnight, casting sterile halos on the polished glass walls of Sterling Labs. Adrian sat at the head of the mahogany table, a stack of photographs spread before him. Grainy stills from the clinic security feed stared back. A gloved hand, a stolen vial, a label switched with precision. But the last image made his blood boil. The face beneath the nurse's cap was unmistakable. A senior board member. A man who had toasted Adrian's success 100 times, who had shaken his hand with rehearsed loyalty. Adrian clenched the photo so tightly the edges bit into his skin. "You're certain?" he asked. Grayson nodded, his expression grim. "Positive. We verified timestamps." He had clearance to access restricted areas. "He didn't act alone, Adrian. Someone gave him cover." Adrian's voice was low, dangerous. "They think I'll fold. They think I'll walk away from Noah to protect this company. They've underestimated me." Grayson hesitated. "If you push back too hard, they'll call a vote. They want your seat. Adrian leaned back, his eyes cold. Then let them try. But I won't sacrifice my son for their empire. Scene 2, Maya under fire. The following morning, headlines spiraled darker. Who is Maya Thompson? Mistress or opportunist? From single mom to scandal queen, inside the woman who shattered Sterling's wedding. Reporters camped outside Maya's modest apartment, cameras flashing whenever she dared to leave. She had moved into Adrian's penthouse temporarily, but still, the noise followed her like a curse. She stood at the kitchen island, scrolling through her phone, face pale. They're painting me as a grifter, that I showed up with Noah to blackmail you. Adrian strode over, snatching the phone. Stop reading it. I can't just pretend it's not happening, she said, voice shaking. Noah's old enough to see this. Kids at school will... Noah won't go back to that school. Adrian cut in sharply. Not until this is over. Maya's eyes flashed. You can't just uproot his life because it's inconvenient for your reputation. Adrian slammed the phone onto the counter. This isn't about my reputation. It's about his safety. Do you want him ambushed by paparazzi every time he walks down the street? The room fell silent. Maya's hands trembled, but her voice softened. All he's ever wanted was a father. Don't let the noise make him regret finding you. Adrian's anger deflated, replaced by guilt. He turned away, staring out at the city skyline. I won't, he whispered. I promise. Scene 3, Noah's fear. That evening, Adrian found Noah curled up on the sofa, knees to his chest, the TV casting harsh shadows across his face. A news anchor's voice droned. Unconfirmed reports suggest Adrian Sterling could face a leadership challenge within Sterling Labs if the scandal continues to erode investor confidence. Adrian muted the screen. Noah, you shouldn't watch that. The boy's eyes were wet. They hate us. Adrian sat beside him, pulling him close. No, they don't know us. They only know what they're told. Noah sniffled. At school, kids already tease me. Said I didn't have a dad. Now they'll say I have the wrong one. The words pierced Adrian deeper than any boardroom threat. He wrapped an arm around the boy, pulling him against his chest. Listen to me, Noah. You are not wrong. You are not a mistake. Do you understand? Noah nodded faintly, clutching the compass bracelet. Then why do they want to hide me? Adrian's jaw tightened. Because they're afraid of the truth. And people who are afraid try to destroy what they don't understand. Noah's small voice whispered, Will you protect me? Adrian's answer came without hesitation. With everything I have. For the first time in his life, he realized he meant it more than any vow he had ever made. Scene 4. The board confrontation. The next day, Adrian walked into the boardroom carrying the photographs. His presence silenced the room instantly. He threw the images onto the table. Explain this. The directors exchanged uneasy glances. The guilty board member, a man named Halvorsen, shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. You sabotaged a DNA test, Adrian said, voice cold as steel. You tamper with evidence in a legal proceeding. That's a crime. The chairman cleared his throat. Adrian, let's not make accusations. This isn't an accusation. It's proof. Adrian slammed his fist onto the table. You wanted to erase Noah. To erase me as a father. For what? To protect the stock price. Halvorsen finally spoke, voice oily. We acted in the best interest of the company. Your personal entanglements are a liability. Adrian's eyes narrowed. My son is not a liability. He's the only legacy worth leaving. The boardroom buzzed with whispers. The chairman raised a hand. Adrian, if you continue this crusade, you'll tear this company apart. Adrian leaned forward, his glare sweeping across them. No, if you continue this cover-up, you'll tear it apart. And I'll make sure the world knows it was you who tried to bury a child's existence. The board froze. Adrian turned and walked out, leaving the photographs scattered like a battlefield of truth. Scene 5, Vivian Strikes Back. That evening, Vivian appeared on national television. Her makeup flawless, her tone dripping with sympathy. I loved Adrian, she told the interviewer, eyes glistening. But I couldn't stand by while he was manipulated by a woman from his past. This Maya, she saw an opportunity. She weaponized a child. It breaks my heart to see Adrian deceived. Clips spread across every channel. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag stand with Vivian. Hashtag Sterling scam. Maya sat on the couch, shaking with rage. She's destroying me. Adrian muted the screen. She's destroying herself. People will see through it. But deep down, he wasn't sure. Scene 6. A father's resolve. That night, Adrian tucked Noah in again. The boy clutched the compass charm. Dad. Noah whispered, tentative. Adrian's chest tightened at the word. Yes. Are you going to pick me or them? Adrian froze. Them? The people in suits. The people who hate me. Adrian swallowed hard. I already picked. I picked you. Noah's eyes shimmered. Then I'm not scared anymore. Adrian kissed his forehead, a gesture foreign yet achingly natural. Scene 7. The Shadow Conspiracy. Later, in his office, Adrian sifted through more documents Grayson had uncovered. Patterns emerged. Secret meetings, anonymous transfers of stock, backroom deals. This wasn't just Halvorsen. It wasn't just Vivian. It was bigger. A coalition inside Sterling Labs, directors, investors, perhaps even competitors, working together to dismantle him. They didn't just want to erase Noah. They wanted to erase Adrian Sterling. He stared out the window, the city's neon glow reflecting in his eyes. For years he had thought his empire was invincible. Now he realized the real battle wasn't about technology or wealth or even power. It was about truth and family, and he wasn't about to lose either. The city never slept, but for Adrian Sterling, sleep had become impossible. He stood in his office at Sterling Labs, staring at the skyline, like it might spell out the truth he couldn't yet touch. His empire buzzed beneath him, every glowing window a reminder of the machine he had built. And somewhere inside that machine, people he trusted were conspiring to tear him apart. Grayson entered quietly, a man who had long mastered calm and chaos. But tonight, even he looked shaken. We traced some of the financials, he said, sliding a folder onto Adrian's desk. Halvorsen wasn't acting alone. There are shell companies tied to at least 2 other board members. They've been quietly buying up shares, consolidating power. Adrian flipped through the papers, his jaw tightening with each page. A coup. Grayson nodded grimly. They want you out, and they'll use Noah to do it. Paint you as reckless, compromised, unstable. If you don't counterstrike, you'll lose everything. Adrian leaned back, fury simmering beneath the surface. For years, he had played defense only in business negotiations. In his personal life, he had built walls so high no one could touch him. But now they had gone after his son. And that was a war they would regret starting. Then we don't wait, Adrian said, voice like steel. We go on the offensive. Scene 2, the trap. The next morning, Adrian called for an emergency press briefing. Cameras swarmed Sterling Labs, reporters elbowing each other for a glimpse. The air hummed with anticipation. Would the billionaire finally break his silence? Adrian stepped up to the podium, sharp suit immaculate, but there was something new in his eyes, fire unrestrained. You've all heard the rumors, he began, his voice echoing. You've seen the headlines. A boy crashed my wedding. He claims to be my son. And many of you are wondering, what does that mean for Sterling Labs? The crowd buzzed, microphones thrust forward. I won't answer with speculation, Adrian continued. I will answer with action. A DNA test was sabotage. Someone wanted to bury the truth. I will not allow it. A new test will be conducted under independent oversight, with full transparency. And whoever tried to destroy evidence, inside or outside this company, will be held accountable. Gasps rippled. Questions flew. Who sabotaged it? Was it the board? Vivian? Adrian held up a hand. Make no mistake. I will protect my company. But more than that, I will protect my family. That is all. With that, he walked off stage, leaving chaos in his wake. Behind the scenes, Grayson muttered, You just painted a target on your back. Adrian's lips curled into something sharp. Good. Let them come. Scene 3. Maya's trial by fire. While Adrian declared war, Maya faced her own battlefield. Paparazzi hounded her every step. Cameras flashing as she tried to buy groceries. Microphones shoved into her face at Noah's school. One reporter sneered, "Maya, are you just here for money? Did you plan the scandal?" Maya's hands shook, but her eyes hardened. "I didn't plan for my son to want a father. And I didn't plan for a man to be too cowardly to admit he has won." The clip went viral within hours. Support poured in, but so did venom. She received threats online, cruel messages that branded her a homewrecker, a manipulator. That night, she sat on Adrian's balcony, hands trembling around a glass of wine. Adrian joined her silently, setting his own drink beside hers. "They'll never let me forget it," she whispered. "They don't matter," he said. "They matter when Noah sees it," she snapped, her voice breaking. "When he hears people call me names. When he hears them call him a mistake." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Then I'll make sure he never doubts otherwise. Not again." For a moment, the silence between them was heavy, but not hostile. It was a silence of two people standing at the edge of something neither dared name. Scene 4. Noah in the spotlight. 2 days later, Noah experienced the full cruelty of the public eye. A photographer caught him leaving the penthouse with Adrian, and the image spread like wildfire. The boy at the center of $1 billion scandal. At first, Noah seemed fascinated by the attention, until the comments reached him. He scrolled on a tablet until his small face crumpled. "They're laughing at me," he whispered. Adrian took the tablet, rage boiling as he read the cruel words. He knelt in front of Noah. "Listen to me. You're not a joke. You're not something for them to laugh at. You're my son." Noah's lip trembled. "But what if the test says I'm not?" Adrian swallowed hard. "Then the test is wrong. Because I already know." Noah's arms wrapped around him in a sudden, desperate hug. Adrian held him tight, and for the first time in his life, the fortress he had built around his heart cracked wide open. Scene 5. Allies and enemies. Later that night, Grayson stormed in with news. "Halvorson's camp is making moves. They're leaking stories that you're unstable, that you've lost control. They're lining up votes for a takeover." Adrian poured himself a drink, swirling the amber liquid. "Then we give them something they can't control." Grayson frowned. Meaning, Adrian said, eyes blazing. "If they want a war over truth, I'll show the world the truth before they can bury it again." Scene 6. Closeness. That same night, Adrian found Maya in the kitchen, cleaning up after dinner. He leaned against the doorway, watching her hands move with quiet precision. "You shouldn't have to deal with this alone," he said. She looked up, tired but unbroken. "I've been dealing with things alone for a long time." "Not anymore," he said softly. Their eyes held, the years of anger and regret between them slowly dissolving into something else, something dangerous, something tender. "Adrian," Maya whispered, but the words died on her lips. She turned away, focusing on the dishes, but Adrian stayed, the weight of unspoken things lingering between them like gravity. Scene 7. The leak. 3 days later, chaos exploded again. News networks interrupted broadcasts. Social media caught fire. A leaked lab report spread across every screen. DNA confirms Noah Thompson is Adrian Sterling's son. Maya gasped when she saw it. "How?" The test was tampered. Grayson barged in, pale. "This isn't from us. Someone inside leaked it. Someone who wants to control the narrative." Adrian scanned the document, fury and relief colliding. Proof at last. Proof they couldn't erase. But the timing, so perfect, so public, meant only one thing. "This wasn't to save me," Adrian muttered. "This was to destroy me." Because now the world knew Noah was his son, and the enemies within Sterling Labs had the perfect weapon. A child to exploit, a father to break. Adrian clenched his fists. The war had only just begun. The news cycle didn't sleep. The leaked DNA report detonated across the world like a bomb. By morning, Adrian Sterling's name trended on every platform, paired with the word father. Some praise him. At least he's acknowledging the boy. That's honorable. Others sneered. Hypocrite billionaire exposed. Lied to shareholders, lied to his fiancée, lied to the world. Sterling Labs stock swung like a pendulum. Investors panicked, then surged with curiosity. Was this scandal proof of weakness or evidence of humanity? But Adrian knew the truth. This wasn't a victory. It was a weapon. Someone had leaked a report not to save him, but to control the battlefield. Scene 2, weaponizing a child. In the boardroom that afternoon, the hostility was thicker than smoke. The chairman slammed a hand onto the table. "This confirms what we feared," he thundered. "You've saddled this company with a liability. A child, paraded in front of tabloids, dragging us through the mud." Adrian's jaw tightened. "That child is my son." Halvorsen sneered. "And now the world knows. He's a symbol of your recklessness. Every competitor will use him against us. Do you really think governments will negotiate billion-dollar contracts with a CEO who can't keep his bedroom clean?" Adrian's voice cut cold. "Careful." The chairman leaned forward. "This isn't about care. It's about survival. Either you step aside until the scandal blows over, or we vote you out." Murmurs swept the room. Some members shifted uncomfortably. Others smirked like predators circling prey. Adrian rose slowly, his shadow stretching across the polished wood. "Step aside? Never. You think you can use my son to destroy me? Try. But know this. Every attempt to erase him only proves how terrified you are of the truth. And I promise you I don't scare easy." He left him in silence, his fury trailing like fire. Scene 3, Vivian's return. That night, television screens glowed across America, with Vivian Brooks' carefully composed face. She sat in the studio, perfectly lit, her makeup immaculate. Her voice trembled with just the right amount of heartbreak. "I loved Adrian," she said softly. "But I didn't know the man I was marrying was hiding a child. I was blindsided, betrayed. My heart breaks for that boy, but more than anything, I fear he's being used. Adrian is not the victim here. I am." The interviewer leaned in. "Do you think Adrian can still run Sterling Labs?" Vivian's eyes glistened. "I think the board should do what's best for the company, for the employees, for the shareholders." Clips flooded the internet within hours. Hashtag Stand With Vivian trending, sympathy pouring in. Vivian, once spurned, had transformed herself into a martyr. Maya watched the broadcast from the penthouse kitchen, her hands curling into fists. "She's twisting it all, making you the villain." Adrian muted the screen. "She's playing her game, but this isn't about her anymore." His eyes flickered toward Noah's room. "It's about him." Scene 4, Noah's question. The next morning, Adrian found Noah sitting on the edge of his bed, clutching the compass bracelet. His face was pale, his eyes rimmed red. "What's wrong?" Adrian asked gently. Noah's voice was small. "Everyone says I ruin your life." The words hit harder than any headline. Adrian knelt, gripping his son's shoulders. "Listen to me. You didn't ruin anything. You gave me something I didn't know I was missing." Noah's lip trembled. "But now everyone hates you. Because of me." Adrian's chest tightened. He pulled Noah into his arms. "They don't matter. Not the board, not the press, not Vivian. You matter. Do you hear me? You're not the reason I'm losing things. You're the reason I finally have something worth fighting for." Noah buried his face against Adrian's chest, whispering, "Promise you won't leave." Adrian kissed the top of his head. "Never." Scene 5, Maya and Adrian. Later, after Noah had fallen asleep, Maya found Adrian in the study, a glass of scotch untouched in his hand. "You're changing," she said softly. He looked up, tired eyes meeting hers. "Into what?" "Into a father," she whispered. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Adrian set the glass aside. "I don't deserve him. Or you." Maya stepped closer, her voice low. "You deserve the chance to try. That's more than most men take." Their eyes locked. The years of bitterness and regret seemed to blur at the edges, leaving only the raw truth of two people still tethered by something neither had managed to kill. "Maya," Adrian murmured, the word catching in his throat. But she stepped back, breaking the moment before it could consume them. Right now, He needs us more than we need each other. Scene 6, the strike. The next day, chaos erupted again. A video surfaced online. Grainy, shaky, but devastating. Noah stepping out of a car with Adrian, surrounded by bodyguards. Paparazzi swarmed. In the frenzy, a man broke through the line, lunging toward Noah. The clip froze at the image of Noah's terrified face, eyes wide, mouth open in a scream. Headline screamed within minutes. Sterling heir in danger. Billionaire's son nearly attacked in media frenzy. Maya gasped as the video played on every screen in the penthouse. Oh my God, he could have been hurt. Adrian's fist clenched as he watched the freeze frame of Noah's fear. His empire, his enemies, his pride. None of it mattered. They had gone too far. Enough? Adrian growled, voice low and lethal. They want a war? I'll give them one. But this time, it's not about saving my company. It's about saving my son. The video of Noah's terrified scream looped endlessly across the world's screens. News anchors dissected frame by frame. Pundits debated parental negligence, and Sterling Lab stock continued its dizzying freefall. But none of that mattered to Adrian Sterling as he stood outside his son's bedroom door, listening to the boy's muffled sobs in the dark. He finally entered quietly. Noah sat upright in bed, clutching his toy car, eyes wide as though the shadows themselves threatened him. I saw him, Noah whispered. That man. He wanted to grab me. Adrian sat on the edge of the bed, his heart breaking. He didn't touch you. You're safe. Noah shook his head. What if he comes back? Adrian pulled him close, the boy's small frame trembling against his chest. Then he'll have to go through me first. Noah's voice cracked. But what if you're not here? Adrian's throat tightened. For a man who had conquered empires, there was no answer more impossible than this one. He kissed the top of his son's hair and whispered, I'll always be here. Always. For the first time, he realized those words were not a promise of convenience, but a vow carved into his very bones. Scene 2, the counter-move. The following morning, Adrian summoned his most trusted allies into a secure room beneath Sterling Labs. Grayson, always steady. A private investigator named Keller, sharp-eyed and ruthless, and a cybersecurity chief who had traced the leak of the DNA report. Keller spread photographs across the table. Blurred shots of the man who had lunged at Noah. Not just a random paparazzo. Ex-security contractor. Paid off. Adrian's eyes narrowed. By whom? Money trails murky. Offshore accounts. Shell companies. But one thread leads back to a lobbying firm tied to Halvorsen. Grayson cursed under his breath. So the board is escalating. Using violence now. Adrian's hands clenched. They put my son in danger. Then we play this differently. We expose them. Keller hesitated. Exposing them could destabilize Sterling Labs entirely. Stocks, contracts. Adrian cut him off. I don't care. They cross a line. Family first. Empire second. Scene 3, Vivian's Gambit. Later that evening, Vivian appeared on television again, this time seated beside Halvorsen. The optics were flawless. A scorned fiancée standing with a concerned leader. Adrian Sterling, Vivian said, her tone grave, is no longer the man fit to lead Sterling Labs. He has allowed his personal chaos to endanger a child, to endanger shareholders, to endanger us all. Halvorsen nodded solemnly. The board must act, for the good of the company. The interviewer leaned forward. Are you calling for Adrian Sterling's removal? Vivian's lips curved faintly. I'm calling for his redemption, but redemption begins with stepping aside. The clip went viral within minutes. #RemoveSterling trended. In the penthouse, Maya slammed the remote onto the table. She's turning herself into some saint, while she's the one pulling strings. Adrian's jaw tightened, fury burning. Then we ripped the mask off. All of them. Scene 4, Maya under siege. The next day, tabloids published old photographs of Maya from her college years. Headlines screamed, Sterling's mistress had wild past. Reporters camped outside the penthouse, yelling slurs whenever she appeared. Maya broke down in the kitchen, her hands shaking as she scrolled through cruel comments. They're dragging me through the mud. And Noah, he'll see all this one day. Adrian took the phone, slamming it face down on the counter. They won't break you. They won't touch him. Not while I breathe. Maya looked up, tears brimming. You can't fight them all. Adrian's eyes locked on hers, steel and fire. Watch me. Scene 5, father and son. That night, Noah crawled into Adrian's bed, trembling. I had a dream, he whispered. They took you away. Adrian wrapped his arms around him, holding him tight. That'll never happen, because I'm not just your dad. I'm your shield. Noah's small voice murmured, I believe you. For Adrian, those 3 words were worth more than every billion he'd ever earned. Scene 6. The Puppet Master. Days later, Keller returned with grim news. He dropped the dossier on Adrian's desk. We traced deeper. Vivian and Halvorsen aren't working alone. There's someone higher. Someone orchestrating this. Adrian flipped open a file. The photographs inside showed a shadowed figure leaving a private jet, face obscured, but the name beneath the image made his blood run cold. A board member he had once considered untouchable. A man who had mentored him. A man with influence reaching far beyond Sterling Labs. Grayson paled. If he's involved, Adrian, this isn't just a coup. It's a purge. Adrian stared at the name, rage and betrayal colliding. For years he had believed the fight was about his company. Now he understood. They didn't just want his empire. They wanted his family erased. And he would burn the world before he let that happen. The dossier lay open on Adrian's desk like a wound. The name at the top was one he had never expected to see. Jonathan Pierce, a man who had once mentored him. A man whose guidance had shaped Sterling Labs in its infancy. For years, Adrian had thought of Pierce as a second father. Now, the evidence was undeniable. Pierce was a puppet master pulling the strings, orchestrating Vivian, Halvorsen, and the smear campaign designed to erase Noah. Adrian's fist slammed onto the desk. He raised me in this company. He taught me everything. And now he wants me gone. Grayson's face was grim. Pierce doesn't just want you gone. He wants you destroyed. And he has the reach to do it. Adrian leaned back, rage simmering beneath his skin. Then I'll show him what happens when you turn a student into an enemy. Scene 2. Sterling Labs in freefall. By midweek, Sterling Labs was drowning. Contracts hung in limbo. Nervous governments postponed negotiations, and the media feasted on the chaos. Employees whispered in hallways, unsure if their futures were safe. Shareholders flooded the lines, demanding answers. Adrian stood at the window of the 43rd floor, watching the city pulse beneath him. He could feel the empire he had built cracking under the weight of betrayal. Grayson entered with a stack of reports. We're losing ground every hour. If you don't stabilize this, Pierce will have the votes to remove you. Adrian's jaw clenched. Stabilize? I'm not patching holes while he drills more. I'm blowing up his ship. Scene 3. Vivian and Halvorsen strike. That night, Vivian and Halvorsen appear together on a primetime news show. Vivian looked radiant in her grief. Halvorsen composed in his authority. Adrian Sterling has proven he is unfit, Vivian declared, her voice trembling just enough. He hides behind a child, a woman from his past, while the company suffers. He has lost his way, and Sterling Labs cannot afford his chaos. Halvorsen added smoothly, we must prioritize stability. The board will act decisively. The host leaned in. Are you calling for his removal? Vivian's eyes glistened. I'm calling for responsibility. For someone to protect this company, the way Adrian no longer can. By the next morning, #RemoveSterling trended worldwide. Maya watched the broadcast, fury twisting her features. She's weaponizing your love for Noah. Adrian muted the screen. Then she's about to learn how dangerous love can be. Scene 4. Noah's doubt. That evening, Adrian found Noah sitting alone on the balcony, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. The boy clutched the compass bracelet, turning it over and over. What's on your mind? Adrian asked, sitting beside him. Noah's voice was small. Maybe they're right. Maybe I made everything worse. Adrian's chest ached. Don't ever say that. But the company's falling apart. Noah whispered. People hate you now. Because of me. Adrian took the boy's hands, steady and firm. Noah, look at me. You didn't break anything. You gave me something worth saving. Before you, all I had was money and power. Now I have you. And if the world want me to choose, I'll choose you every time. Tears welled in Noah's eyes. Promise? Adrian hugged him tight. Promise. Scene 5, Adrian and Maya. Later, Adrian found Maya in the study, staring at a pile of newspapers filled with venomous headlines. They'll never stop, she murmured. Adrian walked closer, his voice low. Then we don't stop either. She turned, meeting his eyes. For a long moment, the weight of the years between them dissolved. The anger, the regrets, the pain, it all blurred, leaving only the tether that had never snapped. You've changed, Maya whispered. So have you, Adrian said. His hand brushed hers, tentative but certain. But not us, not where it matters. For the first time in years, they allowed themselves a fragile smile. Scene 6. The puppet master moves. The following morning, a new storm erupted. A leaked file surfaced online, internal memos, supposedly signed by Adrian, ordering payments to keep a child hidden from public knowledge years ago. The headline screamed, Sterling paid to hide secret son. Proof Adrian covered up Noah's existence. Billionaire built empire on lies. The world devoured it. Shareholders raged. Employees recoiled. Maya stormed into Adrian's office, clutching the printed documents. Tell me this isn't real. Adrian's face darkened as he scanned the pages. It's forged, sloppy, but good enough to sway the masses. Grayson's phone buzzed with alerts. It's everywhere, and Pierce is behind it. He's tightening the noose. Adrian's fury boiled into something sharper, colder. Then we ripped the mask off. Pierce wants war? He just declared it. He looked at Maya, at Noah, at the fragile hope they represented. They think they can erase my son. They think they can bury me. But they forgot one thing. His voice dropped to a growl. I don't lose. The skyline blazed outside, the city roaring like a battlefield. The war for truth had only just begun. The forged memos still lay on Adrian's desk, their ink not yet dry in the court of public opinion, but already poisonous. Outside, Sterling Labs reeled. Investors demanded answers. Journalists circled like vultures. But Adrian Sterling was done playing defense. He called a press conference, his jaw hard as stone. Cameras flashed as he stepped onto the stage. You've seen documents suggesting I paid to hide my son, he said. They are forgeries, lies, fabricated by men desperate to seize power they never earned. He held up another document, the clinic security photos of Halvorsen tampering with the DNA vials. Here is truth. A member of my own board sabotaged evidence. This is who you trust when you question me. Decide for yourselves. The room erupted. Reporters shouted. Microphones thrust forward. Chaos thick as smoke. But Adrian didn't stay. He dropped the photos and walked out, leaving the world to choke on the fire he had lit. Scene 2. Pierce's counterstrike. Within hours, Jonathan Pierce emerged from the shadows. He stood at a marble podium, Vivian at his side, her handkerchief pressed delicately to her lips. Mr. Sterling accuses me of conspiracy. Pierce intoned, voice steady, commanding. But what he truly fears is accountability. He is unstable, erratic, and now desperate. He drags a child into chaos for his own image. And so, if Adrian Sterling will not protect his son, then the courts must. Vivian leaned into the microphone, tears brimming. I only ever wanted Adrian to be honest. But he lied to me, and now I fear for that boy. He deserves stability. He deserves safety. The crowd lapped it up. Headlines shifted. Pierce calls for custody review. Vivian Brooks breaks silence to protect child. Maya hurled the remote across the penthouse. She's vile. She doesn't care about Noah. She just wants to hurt you. Adrian's expression was darker than midnight. Pierce is moving faster than I thought. He's not just after my company. He's after my son. Scene 3. The summons. 2 days later, the knock on the door came. A court officer stood rigid, envelope in hand. Mr. Sterling, you've been served. Inside, a motion filed by Pierce's legal team, petitioning the court for a temporary custody review of Noah Thompson, citing Adrian's dangerous instability and exploitation of a minor. Maya's hands shook as she read. They're trying to take him. They can't do this. Adrian's voice was calm, but the storm in his eyes raged. They can try, but they won't win. Noah appeared in the doorway, small voice trembling. What's happening? Adrian crouched, pulling him close. They want to ask questions. About us. About who should take care of you. Noah's lip quivered. But I want to stay with you. Adrian's throat closed. And I'll fight to make sure you can. Scene 4. The courtroom. The courtroom was a cavern of judgment, its walls lined with press hungry for spectacle. Adrian sat beside Maya, their lawyer whispering strategy. Across the aisle, Pierce loomed like a general, Vivian seated beside him with practiced sorrow. The judge's gavel struck. We are here to determine temporary custody arrangements for the minor, Noah Thompson. Pierce's lawyer rose. Your Honor, Adrian Sterling has demonstrated reckless disregard for this child's safety. Paparazzi swarms. Violent incidents. Fabricated documents. Is this the environment a boy deserves? Adrian's attorney countered. Your Honor, the only reckless acts were committed by the very people now crying wolf. We have evidence of board member Halvorsen sabotaging DNA tests. We believe Mr. Pierce orchestrated much of this smear campaign. The judge frowned. Allegations are not evidence. For now, we consider the child's best interest. Noah was called to stand. His small hands fidgeted, eyes darting toward Adrian. Do you feel safe with your father? The lawyer asked gently. Noah nodded. Yes. Do you want to live with him? Yes, Noah whispered. A murmur swept the courtroom. Adrian's chest swelled with pride and fear, because he knew Pierce wouldn't stop here. Scene 5, behind closed doors. That night, back in the penthouse, Maya paced furiously. They're trying to paint you as dangerous, and me as unfit. Do you see what's happening? They'll take Noah if we're not careful. Adrian poured a drink untouched. Then we don't just fight in court. We fight everywhere. We expose Pierce for what he is. Maya stopped pacing, tears brimming. Adrian, if they take him, I'll never forgive myself. For leaving, for not telling you, for all of it. Adrian gripped her shoulders, steady and firm. Listen to me. You didn't ruin this. Pierce did. Vivian did. And I won't let them win. For a moment, their foreheads touched, a fragile unity born from desperation. Scene 6, the blow. The next morning, the court issued its temporary ruling. Until further evidence is presented, custody of the minor Noah Thompson is awarded to his mother, Maya Thompson. Adrian Sterling may have visitation under supervised conditions. Maya gasped, clutching Noah's hand. Relief and dread collided. But Pierce wasn't finished. Outside the courthouse, his lawyers announced their next step, a full custody suit, questioning not just Adrian's role, but Maya's. Adrian's fury burned as cameras flashed. He won't stop until he owns us all, he muttered. Maya's face drained. Adrian, what if they take him from me too? Adrian looked at her, at Noah clinging to her side, fear in his eyes. And he made a silent vow. If Pierce wanted war, Adrian would fight not just as a CEO, not just as a father, but as a man who had nothing left to lose. The ruling still echoed in Adrian's mind. Temporary custody awarded to the mother, supervised visitation for the father. He should have been relieved. Noah wasn't lost to strangers, at least, but relief never came. Because Pierce's move was clear, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning. And Adrian Sterling had never been a man who tolerated beginnings he didn't control. He stood at the window of his penthouse that night, glass of untouched scotch sweating in his hand. The city below pulsed with 1,000 lives, indifferent to the war raging in his. Behind him, Maya tucked Noah into bed, her voice a soft lullaby. For a moment, the sounds were gentle, almost normal, but Adrian knew normal was gone. Grayson entered, face grim, holding a tablet. It's worse. Adrian turned, eyes sharp. Show me. Grayson swiped, revealing a headline already going viral. Sterling caught in cover-up. New evidence shows years of neglect. Adrian snatched the tablet. It showed photographs, grainy but convincing, of him supposedly leaving envelopes of cash at a clinic years ago. Dates, signatures, even surveillance timestamps. Fabricated, Adrian muttered. Of course, Grayson said, but good enough to sway a jury. Pierce has resources beyond anything we expected. He's not just coming for your company, Adrian. He's coming for your credibility as a father. Adrian's jaw tightened. Then we expose him. All of him. Scene 2. The legal firestorm. The courthouse was packed the following week. Journalists lined the steps, microphones outstretched. The world smelled blood. Inside, Adrian sat flanked by attorneys. Maya sat a few feet away, Noah's hand in hers, his wide eyes scanning the room. Across the aisle, Pierce radiated calm authority. Vivian seated at his side with saintly expression. The judge presided, robes heavy, eyes sharper than knives. We are here to consider further evidence in the matter of custody for the minor, Noah Thompson. Pierce's lawyer stood, voice smooth as oil. Your Honor, we present documented proof that Mr. Sterling knew of the child years ago and paid to conceal his existence. This demonstrates not only negligence, but willful abandonment. Gasps rippled. Vivian dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief, perfectly timed with cameras. Adrian rose before his lawyer could stop him. That is a forgery, a calculated lie, manufactured by men who fear losing their grip on power. The judge's gavel cracked. Mr. Sterling, sit down or be held in contempt. Maya's hand tightened on Noah's. The boy looked up, frightened. Adrian sat, fury boiling beneath his skin. He had built empires with words. Now his words carried no weight. Scene 3, Vivian's testimony. The next witness called, Vivian Brooks. She walked gracefully to the stand, every step rehearsed, every tear calculated. Ms. Brooks, Pierce's lawyer began, you were engaged to Mr. Sterling at the time the scandal erupted? Yes, Vivian answered softly. I loved him. I believed in him. And when the child appeared at your wedding, what was Mr. Sterling's reaction? Vivian's lips trembled. He embraced them, without question, as though he had known all along. It broke me. I realized I had been deceived for years. Adrian's fists clenched. Lies, he muttered under his breath. Vivian continued. I fear for that child, not because he isn't loved, but because Adrian Sterling cannot separate truth from ambition. He will use the boy as a shield, as a pawn, and that is not what a father does. Her voice cracked perfectly, her tears catching the light. The jury of public opinion was already decided. Scene 4, Maya's fury. That night, back at the penthouse, Maya erupted. She's poisoning everything. She paints herself as a victim while trying to steal my son's future. Adrian slammed his glass onto the counter. Then we stop playing their game. We stop reacting. We strike first. How? Maya demanded. They control the press, the board, the courts. They don't control the truth, Adrian cut in. His eyes burned with resolve. And I'll drag it into the light, even if it kills me. Maya stared at him, torn between admiration and fear. Don't let them destroy you, Adrian. He met her gaze. They can destroy me, but they won't touch him. Scene 5, Noah's pain. Later, Adrian found Noah sitting alone, the compass bracelet glinting in the dim light. Dad. Noah whispered. Yes. Why do they all hate you? Adrian's throat tightened. They don't hate me. They fear me. And when people are afraid, they lie. Noah's lip trembled. Do you wish I never came to the wedding? Adrian's chest broke open. He pulled Noah into his arms. No, you saved me. You gave me something real when everything else was fake. Noah pressed his face against Adrian's chest. Then I'll never leave you, even if they make me. Tears stung Adrian's eyes, hot and unfamiliar. And I'll never stop fighting for you. That's a promise. Scene 6, the counter evidence. The following week, Adrian's investigator Keller burst into his office with a flash drive. We cracked it, Keller said. The surveillance footage they used to claim you paid off a clinic? Doctored. Metadata proves it. The timestamps don't align with the clinic security logs. It's a forgery. Adrian's heart surged. We take it to court. Careful, Grayson warned. Pierce won't go down easy. He'll have another card ready. I don't care, Adrian said, fire in his voice. He started this war. I'm ending it. Scene 7, the blowback. Court reconvened. Adrian's lawyers presented the evidence. Metadata discrepancies, tampered footage, testimony from a digital forensic expert. The judge frowned. These are serious allegations of fraud. Pierce's lawyer countered, calm as ice. Desperate men forge desperate defenses. Who's to say this so-called metadata wasn't fabricated? And then Pierce dropped his bomb. A new witness stepped forward, a woman who claimed to be a nurse at the clinic a decade ago. I saw Mr. Sterling, she testified. I remember his face. He handed me an envelope and told me to forget what I'd seen. Gasps erupted. Cameras clicked like gunfire. Adrian shot to his feet, fury radiating. That's a lie. The judge's gavel cracked again. Order! The nurse's eyes flickered. Paid off, Adrian realized. But the damage was done. Maya's face was pale as she clutched Noah's hand. Adrian! The hearing ended in chaos. Reporters swarmed, headlines already screaming. Sterling bribery witness comes forward. Scene 8, the cliffhanger. Back in the penthouse. Adrian stood at the window, rage and despair colliding. They'll bury me, he muttered. Maya touched his arm. Then we dig deeper. We find the truth under every lie. At that moment, Adrian's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You want Pierce? You want the truth? Meet me alone. Midnight, Pier 47. Adrian stared at the message, adrenaline surging. It could be a trap, or it could be the key to bringing Pierce down. He looked at Maya, then at Noah asleep on the couch. I have to go, he whispered. The city's docks smelled of salt and rust. Midnight at Pier 47 was a graveyard of shipping containers. Crane silhouetted against the moon, the water black and restless. Adrian Sterling pulled his coat tighter, his breath ghosting in the cold air. The text replayed in his mind. You want Pierce? You want the truth? Meet me alone. He wasn't a man who walked blindly into traps, but tonight wasn't about caution. Tonight was about Noah. Footsteps echoed. A figure emerged from the shadows, hood drawn low. You came, the voice rasped. Who are you? Adrian demanded. The figure hesitated, then pulled back the hood. A woman, late 40s, weary eyes shadowed with guilt. My name is Evelyn Cross. I work for Pierce. For years. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Then why contact me now? Because Pierce is going too far, Evelyn said, voice trembling. You were supposed to be ruined professionally. That was it. But now he's targeting your son. And I won't be part of it anymore. Adrian's blood ran cold. You're telling me he orchestrated the attack on Noah? She nodded. And worse, the forged documents, the nurse's testimony. It was all bought. Pierce owns people, Mr. Sterling. Judges, politicians, media outlets. He's building a case not just to take your company, but to take custody of Noah away from you and Maya. He wants the boy erased from your life permanently. Adrian's fist clenched. Why? Why target child? Evelyn's eyes darted around the dock, paranoid, because Pierce knows you, Adrian. He knows money and power mean nothing if he takes away the only thing you truly care about. He wants to break you where it hurts most. Before Adrian could reply, headlights flared across the pier. Black SUVs screeched to a halt, doors flying open. Men in dark coats spilled out, weapons glinting. Evelyn's face drained of color. He found me. Get down. Adrian roared, pulling her behind container as bullets cracked through the night. Scene 2, the ambush. The pier erupted in chaos. Gunfire shredded steel, sparks flying as bullets ricocheted off metal. Adrian shoved Evelyn toward cover, adrenaline surging. You want to help me? He growled. Then survive. One of the men advanced, flashlight beam sweeping. Adrian grabbed a rusted pipe from the ground. Years of boardroom combat suddenly replaced by primal survival. When the man rounded the corner, Adrian swung, knocking the gun from his hands. A brutal punch sent the attacker sprawling. Evelyn screamed as another man closed in. Adrian lunged, tackling him into the water with a splash. The dock shook with violence. Finally, silence fell, broken only by Evelyn's ragged breathing and the slap of waves against wood. The SUV screeched away, retreating into the night. Adrian pulled himself onto the dock, soaked and furious. They'll be back. We need to move. Evelyn nodded, trembling. I have files. Proof. Everything Pierce has done. But if he knows I talked to you. Adrian's eyes blazed. Then we hit him before he hits us. Scene 3. Back at the penthouse. When Adrian returned hours later, soaked and bruised, Maya was waiting. Her eyes widened in horror. What happened to you? Pierce, Adrian muttered, stripping off his wet coat. He tried to silence a witness. He nearly succeeded. Maya's voice cracked. You could have been killed. I'm not the one he wants dead, Adrian said. His gaze flickered toward Noah's bedroom. He wants our son broken, and that's not happening. Maya's tears spilled over. Adrian, you can't fight this alone. You'll lose yourself. You'll lose him. Adrian gripped her shoulders, desperate. If I don't fight, we lose everything anyway. For a moment, the distance between them vanished. The fury, the fear, the grief, it all collided into something raw. Their lips almost touched before Maya pulled back, shaking. We can't, she whispered. Not now. Not like this. Adrian's chest ached, but he didn't argue. Not tonight. Scene 4 of the revelation. The next morning, Evelyn met Adrian and Grayson in a hidden office beneath Sterling Labs. Her hands shook as she opened a flash drive. Pierce built a network, she explained. Shell companies, offshore accounts. He's funneled millions into bribing officials. But here, she pulled up an email chain. This proves he paid for forged memos. And here, another file loaded. Records of payments to Vivian. She's been on his payroll since before the wedding. Adrian's fury hardened. So she never loved me. Not once. Grayson shook his head. She loved the role. And Pierce made sure she played it. Evelyn leaned closer. There's more. Pierce has filed motions through third parties to challenge Maya's custody. He's painting her as unstable, financially unfit. His endgame is clear. Remove both of you. Place Noah with a neutral guardian he controls. Adrian's blood boiled. Over my dead body. Scene 5, Noah's fear. That night, Adrian found Noah awake, staring at the ceiling. Can't sleep? Adrian asked gently. Noah shook his head. I had a dream. They took me away, and you didn't stop them. Adrian's heart shattered. He pulled the boy into his arms. That'll never happen. Do you hear me? I'll tear down the world before I let anyone take you. Noah's voice was small. Promise? Adrian kissed his forehead. I promise. Scene 6, the setup. 2 days later, court reconvened. Adrian's lawyers prepared to introduce Evelyn's testimony. But before proceedings could begin, a new development exploded across the news. Sterling family in danger. Leaked footage shows violent brawl at city docks. The video, grainy but clear, showed Adrian at Pier 47, pipe in hand, striking a man. The headline painted him as unhinged, violent, dangerous. Maya's face drained. They twisted it. They're making you look like a criminal. Adrian's jaw tightened. Pierce knew Evelyn would talk, so he flipped the narrative before she could. Grayson muttered, We're losing control of the story. Adrian's eyes burned. Then we take it back. All of it. Scene 7, the cliffhanger. That night, Adrian received another text. You're running out of moves. Tomorrow, the court will hear new evidence. And when they do, you'll lose him forever. Attached, a photograph of Noah, taken from outside the penthouse window. Adrian's hands shook, rage and terror colliding. They're watching him, he whispered. Maya gasped, clutching Noah tight. And Adrian Sterling, for the first time in his life, realized he wasn't just fighting for custody or reputation anymore. He was fighting to keep his son alive. The photo of Noah taken through the penthouse window lay on the table like a knife between them. Maya's hand shook as she held it, her breath shallow. "They were inside our building," she whispered. "Inside our lives." Adrian's chest burned. Rage, guilt, fear, they tangled into something almost unbearable. This isn't just about custody anymore. Pierce is making it clear. He doesn't just want Noah. He wants control over us. Over everything. Noah padded into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He saw the photo, confusion flickering. "Why is there a picture of me?" Adrian crouched, hiding the fury in his voice. "It's nothing you need to worry about, champ. Just someone playing a mean trick." Noah tilted his head. "But you'll stop them, right? You always do." Adrian pulled him into his arms, heartbreaking at the boy's blind trust. "Always." Scene 2. The courtroom war. The next morning, the courthouse was a furnace of tension. Reporters clogged the steps, shouting questions. "Mr. Sterling, did you attack men at the docks? Is it true you bribe witnesses? Will the court strip you of custody today?" Adrian said nothing. Silence was his shield now. Inside, Evelyn Cross was sworn in. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. "I worked for Jonathan Pierce for 12 years, she testified. "I facilitated payments. I fabricated documents at his command. And yes, I was involved in paying witnesses to testify falsely against Mr. Sterling." Gasps rippled through the gallery. Adrian watched Pierce closely. For the first time, the older man's composure cracked. The faintest flicker of irritation. The judge leaned forward. "Ms. Cross, do you have evidence?" Evelyn nodded, handing over a flash drive. "Bank transfers, emails, everything." For a moment, Adrian felt the tide shift. Hope stirred. But then Pierce's lawyer rose, smooth and deadly. "Your Honor, Ms. Cross is a disgruntled former employee, dismissed for embezzlement. Her credibility is questionable at best." And then came the hammer. Vivian Brooks took the stand. Scene 3. Vivian's final betrayal. "Ms. Brooks," the lawyer purred, "what is your relationship to Mr. Sterling?" Vivian's eyes glistened with perfect sorrow. "I was his fiancée, until the truth came out." "And what truth was that?" "That he knew of his child all along," she whispered. "That he hid it, lied to me, lied to everyone." Adrian's fists clenched on the table. "And do you believe Mr. Sterling is a fit father?" Vivian turned her gaze toward him, eyes cold as winter. "No, he is reckless, dangerous, obsessed with power. He loves the idea of being a father more than the boy himself." Maya gasped, fury shaking her. But the damage rippled outward, jurors shifting, reporters scribbling, the judge's frown deepening. Pierce smiled like a man who had already won. Scene 4. The kidnapping. That evening, as court adjourned, Maya took Noah to the restroom while Adrian spoke with his lawyer. Minutes passed. Too many minutes. Then screams. Adrian bolted down the corridor. Maya stumbled out, her face pale with terror. "He's gone, Adrian. Noah's gone." The world spun. Security alarms blared, guards shouting. Witnesses claimed they saw a man in a maintenance uniform leading Noah out a side door. Adrian's lungs burned as he sprinted to the courthouse, but by the time he reached the street, the black van was already disappearing into traffic. He collapsed against the pavement, rage and fear tearing him apart. "Noah." Scene 5. The desperate hunt. The police swarmed, questions flying, but Adrian barely heard them. Maya clung to his arm, sobbing. "It's Pierce," Adrian said hoarsely. "It has to be. He couldn't win in court, so he took him." Grayson gripped his shoulder. "Then we hit back. I'll mobilize every resource. Private investigators, security teams, satellites if I have to." Adrian's eyes blazed. "Do it. And if Pierce thinks the law will protect him now, he's dead wrong." Scene 6. The call. Hours later, Adrian's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered with shaking hands. "Sterling." Pierce's voice drawled, smooth as poison. "Where's my son?" Adrian roared. "Safe. For now," Pierce said calmly. "But you see, this is what happens when you defy me. The boy will be returned. If you withdraw your claims, relinquish your company, and disappear quietly from his life." Adrian's vision blurred with fury. You touch him, I'll end you. Pierce chuckled. Careful, Adrian. Fathers who make threats rarely see their children again. The line went dead. Adrian stood frozen, phone trembling in his hand. Maya's eyes begged for answers. He has him, Adrian whispered. Pierce's Noah. Scene 7. Adrian's breaking point. Back at the penthouse, Adrian smashed his fist into the glass wall. Shards raining to the floor. His empire meant nothing now. His money, his power, ashes. Maya wrapped her arms around him, sobbing. What do we do? What if he hurts him? Adrian's voice was raw, broken. Then I burn him. I burn everything he's built until there's nothing left. Grayson interrupted, urgency in his tone. We tracked a van to a warehouse outside the city. If we move now, we can get there before Pierce relocates him. Adrian's eyes ignited with deadly resolve. Then we move now. Scene 8. The warehouse. The warehouse reeked of oil and dust. Shadows swallowed the corners, chains clinking in the silence. Adrian stormed in, flanked by Grayson's men. Noah, he shouted. A small voice answered, muffled but desperate. Dad. Adrian sprinted, tearing through crates until he found Noah bound to a chair, eyes wide with terror. He dropped to his knees, ripping away the ropes. I've got you, champ. I've got you. But before they could flee, footsteps echoed. Pierce stepped from the shadows, flanked by guards, his smile sharp as a blade. Touching, he sneered. But you didn't think I'd make it that easy, did you? Adrian shoved Noah behind him, fury radiating. It ends tonight, Pierce. Pierce chuckled. On the contrary, tonight is just the beginning. Scene 9. The cliffhanger. The guards raised their weapons. Grayson's men did the same. The warehouse became a powder keg waiting for a spark. Pierce's eyes glittered. Choose, Adrian. Your empire or your son. Sign over Sterling Global, and the boy walks free. Refuse, and he nodded to his men, guns cocking. Noah clung to Adrian's coat, trembling. Dad, don't let them take me. Adrian's world narrowed to a single impossible choice. His fortune, his company, his legacy were the only thing that mattered. Pierce's voice was silk and steel. Decide. Adrian's breath caught, his hand hovering between pen and paper, between power and love. And then, a gunshot cracked through the night. The gunshot shattered the air, reverberating through the cavernous warehouse. For one suspended heartbeat, no one moved. Then chaos erupted. Adrian spun, pulling Noah down behind a stack of crates. Across the room, one of Pierce's guards clutched his shoulder, blood spreading fast. The shot hadn't come from Adrian's men. It had come from somewhere else. Hidden, precise. Pierce's eyes flashed with fury, but he masked it quickly. Find the shooter, he barked. His guards scrambled, rifles sweeping shadows. Grayson moved in, covering Adrian and Noah. Unknown sniper. Could be ours, could be theirs. Either way, we need to move. Adrian's jaw tightened. He looked at Pierce, who stood calm amid the chaos, as if certain he still controlled the board. This ends now, Adrian growled. Pierce smirked. On that, we agree. Scene 2, the standoff. The warehouse became a battlefield of tension. Grayson's men squared off against Pierce's. Fingers trembled on triggers. Sweat glistened, every eye darting for the source of the unseen sniper. Adrian stood, shielding Noah with his body. You came after my son. You broke every rule, every line. And you think I'll just hand over my life's work. Pierce's laugh was low, chilling. You think this is about your company? Sterling Global was never the prize, Adrian. It was the leash. With it, I could control you. And with the boy, he glanced at Noah, I could break you. Adrian's fury burned white hot. You'll never touch him again. The sniper's second shot rang out, shattering a floodlight overhead. Darkness swallowed half the warehouse. Shouts and gunfire followed, ricocheting through the gloom. Adrian grabbed Noah's hand. Stay with me, no matter what. Scene 3. Flight through the shadows. Gunfire blazed. Adrian shoved through crates, dragging Noah toward an exit, while Grayson's men laid down cover. Dad. Noah cried, stumbling. Adrian scooped him into his arms, muscles straining as bullets sparked around them. They burst into a corridor lined with rusting machinery. Behind them, Pierce's voice echoed. Run, Adrian, run. But you can't hide forever. Adrian's chest thundered. He had been hunted in boardrooms, in the press, in courtrooms, but now he was prey in the most primal sense, and he would kill before he allowed his son to be taken again. Scene 4, the rooftop confrontation. They reached a stairwell and clambered up, bursting onto the roof. The city sprawled below, neon lights blinking through the fog, and there, waiting, was Pierce. His silhouette loomed against the skyline, gun in hand. Nowhere left to run, Pierce said smoothly. His voice was steady, but his eyes glittered with mania. Adrian shoved Noah behind him. Let him go, Pierce. Whatever you want. Take it from me. But he's not part of this. Pierce's smirk curved. He's the only part of this. Don't you see? The boy is your weakness. You're Achilles' heel. With him in my grasp, you're nothing. Adrian's fist clenched. You're wrong. He's my strength. Pierce raised a gun. Then watch your strength die. Before he could fire, another gunshot split the air. The weapon flew from Pierce's hand, clattering across the roof. Adrian spun. Evelyn Cross stood at the roof's edge, pistol trembling in her grip. No more lies, Jonathan, she said, voice breaking. No more children used as pawns. Scene 5, the final struggle. Pierce lunged at Evelyn, rage twisting his face. Adrian slammed into him mid-charge, the two men colliding like titans. Years of hatred, betrayal, and ambition boiled over in fists and fury. Pierce fought with feral strength, driven by obsession. Adrian fought with the desperation of a father protecting his child. They crashed into vents, fists cracking ribs, blood spilling. You can't win. Pierce roared, grappling Adrian to the edge. The city yawned beneath them, 100 feet of deadly drop. You've always been weak, sentimental. That boy will be the death of you. Adrian snarled, teeth bared. No, he's the reason I'm still standing. With a surge of strength, he twisted, flipping Pierce over his shoulder. The older man staggered backward, arms flailing, before teetering on the edge. For a breath, Pierce's eyes locked with Adrian's, still filled with arrogance, even as death loomed. Then he fell. The city swallowed him whole. Scene 6, the rescue. Silence fell, broken only by Adrian's ragged breathing. Dad. Noah cried, rushing forward. Adrian dropped to his knees, clutching the boy fiercely. I've got you, champ. I've got you. Evelyn lowered her gun, tears streaking her face. It's over. God, it's finally over. But Adrian shook his head. No, not until the truth is exposed. Not until Pierce's entire network burns. Scene 7, the aftermath in court. Days later, the courtroom was packed again. But this time, Adrian held the advantage. Evelyn testified, presenting the files. Grayson corroborated, and forensic experts confirmed everything. Pierce's bribes, his manipulation, even Vivian's betrayal. The judge's gavel slammed. Custody remains with Ms. Thompson, with joint visitation from Mr. Sterling. All allegations against Mr. Sterling are dismissed. The court will move to open federal investigations into Jonathan Pierce's holdings. Applause rippled through the gallery. Reporters surged. Adrian exhaled, the weight of months lifting. Beside him, Maya wept silently, clutching Noah. Scene 8, Vivian's fall. Outside the courthouse, Vivian was swarmed by reporters. Her mask cracked under their questions. Did you accept payments from Pierce? Were you complicit in framing Sterling? Her silence was damning. Cameras captured every falter, every tear that now seemed less like grief and more like guilt. For the first time, Adrian walked past her without a word, Noah's hand in his. She reached out, whispering, "Adrian, please." But he didn't turn back. Scene 9, father and son. That night, in the quiet of the penthouse, Adrian tucked Noah into bed. The boy clutched his compass bracelet, eyes wide. Are they gone, Dad? The bad people. Adrian brushed his hair gently. They're gone, and they'll never hurt you again. Noah's lip trembled. You didn't give me up, even when they told you to. Adrian's throat tightened. I'd give up the whole world before I gave up you. Noah smiled sleepily, drifting into dreams safe for the first time in months. Adrian sat in the dark, watching him, the truth sinking deep. He was no longer just a billionaire, no longer just a man of power. He was a father, and nothing, no empire, no enemy, would ever mean more. Scene 10, the cliffhanger. As Adrian poured himself a glass of scotch, his phone buzzed. A new message. Pierce is dead, but his empire isn't. They're coming for you next. Attached, a photo of a shadowy boardroom, faces obscured. Adrian's hand trembled. The war wasn't over. It had just begun. The Sterling penthouse had finally grown quiet. For weeks, it had been filled with tension. Guards at every door, lawyers pacing the halls, media vans parked below like vultures. But now silence lingered. Adrian stood by the window, scotch in hand, watching the city glow. It was over, he told himself. Pierce was gone. Noah was safe. The empire he had built still stood. Yet the message on his phone replayed in his mind like a curse. Pierce is dead, but his empire isn't. They're coming for you next. Scene 2, the Shadow Council. The following morning, Grayson entered with grim eyes. I've been digging, he said, dropping a dossier on the table. Pierce wasn't acting alone. He was part of a collective, a shadow council of financiers, politicians, media moguls. He was their enforcer. Now that he's gone, they'll be looking for a new one. Or, Grayson hesitated, they'll come after you. Adrian flipped through the files. Names, offshore accounts, photographs of discreet gatherings in European villas. Who sent the message? Adrian asked. Grayson shook his head. Someone on the inside. Someone who doesn't want you dead. But we don't know who. Maya entered, overhearing. Her face paled. Adrian, you can't keep fighting shadows. You've done enough. Noah needs peace. We need peace. Adrian looked at her, torn. If I don't confront them, they'll never stop. Not with me. Not with him. Scene 3, the invitation. 2 nights later, Adrian received an embossed envelope delivered by hand. No sender. Just a wax seal, a serpent coiled around a crown. Inside was a single card. Your wealth and influence are wasted in the boardroom. Pierce failed because he fought us. You, Adrian Sterling, can join us. Sit at the table. Shape nations, not companies. The choice is yours. Dinner. Midnight. The glass tower. Adrian crushed the card in his fist. Maya found him pacing. What is it? He handed her the note. She read it, her eyes widening. Adrian, this is an invitation. It's a trap. Or it's the key, Adrian murmured. To what? To protecting Noah forever. If I sit at their table, I can control what they do. End it from within. Maya's voice cracked. And what about us? What about being a father, not a king? Adrian's chest ached. The war inside him deepened. Family or destiny? Scene 4, Noah's question. That night, Adrian tucked Noah in. The boy clutched his compass bracelet. Eyes serious. Dad, Noah whispered, are the bad people really gone? Adrian hesitated, his throat tight. Most of them. Noah frowned. You always tell me the truth. So, if they're not gone, will you go fight them? Adrian stroked his hair gently. What if I told you sometimes fighting means sitting at the same table as them? Noah thought hard, then shook his head. If you sit with them, doesn't that make you one of them? The innocence in his son's words cut deeper than any knife. Scene 5, the dinner. Midnight. The glass tower, a skyscraper shrouded in clouds, its top floors lit like a beacon. Adrian entered the dining hall. 12 figures sat around a gleaming obsidian table, faces half hidden in shadow, their power undeniable. Mr. Sterling, a silver-haired woman greeted smoothly. We followed your career. Impressive resilience. You've proven stronger than peers. Another leaned forward, smile razor-sharp. You can join us. Guide nations, rewrite economies. Imagine it. your son growing up in a world you shaped. Adrian's jaw tightened. And if I refuse? The woman's smile didn't falter. Then you and your boy vanish. Just like Pierce. Silence stretched. Adrian's pulse thundered. Finally, he spoke. If I join, it's on my terms. No children. No families. Off limits. The room murmured, amused. You think you can dictate to us? Adrian met their eyes, fire burning. I don't think. I know, because I've beaten one of you already. And if I have to, I'll burn this council to ground. Scene 6, the choice. Back home, Maya waited, sleepless. When Adrian returned, his face was stone. What did you do? She whispered. I told him my line. Adrian said, they think they own me, but they don't. Maya's eyes brimmed. Adrian, you can't play both sides forever. One day, they'll make you choose. Them or us. Adrian closed his eyes. He knew she was right. Scene 7, the threat. The next morning, Noah's school called. His classroom had received a mysterious package. Inside, a serpent coiled around a compass. Adrian's blood ran cold. The council had made their move. He gripped the compass bracelet on Noah's wrist, vowing silently, they will never take you, even if I have to give up everything else. Scene 8, the cliffhanger. That evening, Adrian received another message. You have 1 week. Accept a seat or lose the boy. Attached, a photo of Noah taken from his school playground. Adrian's hand trembled as he stared at the image. The choice he had feared most was here. And this time, there was no middle ground. The photograph of Noah on the playground lay on Adrian's desk like a blade against his throat. The serpent sigil stamped across the message glared back at him, mocking. 1 week. Accept a seat or lose the boy. Adrian had faced boardrooms, courts, kidnappers, assassins. But this was different. It was no longer about victory. It was about survival. He poured a glass of scotch, though his hands trembled too much to lift it. Maya entered, her eyes already knowing. They won't stop, she whispered. You can't fight them all. Adrian looked up, fire in his gaze. Then I don't fight them all. I burn their table down. Scene 2, preparing for war. For days, Adrian vanished into planning. Keller, the investigator, traced the council's shell companies. Grayson rallied private operatives, hackers, loyalists. Evelyn provided names of politicians on their payroll. Maps and photos papered the walls of Adrian's penthouse office. Lines connecting senators, generals, tech moguls. They think they're untouchable, Adrian said, his voice cold. But every empire has a fault line. We find theirs. Maya stood at the doorway, torn. And if you fail? Adrian looked at Noah, asleep on the couch with his toy car. His jaw hardened. Then at least he'll know I fought. Scene 3. The council strikes first. 3 nights before the deadline. Sterling Global servers were hacked. Stock prices plunged. Headlines screamed, Sterling Empire in freefall. On the same night, Noah's school was evacuated after a bomb threat. False, but terrifying enough. Adrian raced through the chaos, scooping Noah into his arms as alarms blared. The boy buried his face against his father's chest. Dad, he whispered, voice trembling, why are they doing this to us? Adrian's throat tightened. Because they're afraid of us, champ. And people who are afraid always make mistakes. Scene 4, the last dinner. The night before the deadline, Adrian returned to the glass tower. The council awaited, 12 figures around the obsidian table, their faces carved with calm arrogance. You've had time to think, the silver-haired woman said smoothly. Will you join us? Adrian placed a folder on the table. Inside, documents, recordings, bank trails, everything Evelyn and Keller had compiled. You've built your empire on secrets, Adrian said, but I've collected them all. And tomorrow morning, every newsroom in the world receives a copy. The table rippled with tension. Some laughed. Others frowned. You destroy us? One asked. No, Adrian said, his voice low. Dangerous. I'll let the world destroy you. The silver-haired woman leaned back, unshaken. And what of your boy? Do you think exposure protects him? Adrian's fist tightened. If anything happens to him, I won't just expose you. I'll hunt every last one of you until there's nothing left but ash. Scene 5, Fire and Smoke. The next morning, chaos engulfed the world. Headlines exploded with revelations. Senators bought, elections rigged, wars funded for profit. The Shadow Council's name spread like wildfire. Protests erupted. Governments launched investigations. And yet, the council was not dead. Too many threads, too many hands in too many places. Grayson warned Adrian, "They'll fight back. They'll paint you as the villain who fabricated all this." Adrian nodded grimly. "Then I don't stop. Not until Noah is safe." Scene 6. The kidnapping, again. That evening, as if to prove Grayson right, Noah disappeared. Maya's scream shattered the penthouse. His bedroom window was open, curtains billowing. A compass bracelet lay on the floor. Adrian's chest collapsed. "No, no, no." A phone rang. An unknown voice distorted. "You think you can burn us? We hold the boy. Withdraw. Or bury him with you." Adrian's knees hit the floor. His empire, his war, none of it mattered anymore. Only Noah. Scene 7. The final confrontation. Clues led him to the docks, the same place where Pierce had once set his trap. Noah was tied near the edge, trembling. A gun pressed his temple by a council enforcer. Adrian stepped forward, unarmed. "Let him go. This is between you and me." The man sneered. "You had a chance to join. Instead, you declared war. Now you pay." Adrian's voice was steel. "If you kill him, you'll never see another dawn. I'll make sure of it." The enforcer laughed. Big words from a man about to lose everything. A gunshot cracked. The enforcer fell, blood blooming across his chest. Behind him stood Evelyn Cross, pistol smoking. "No more children," she whispered. Adrian rushed forward, tearing Noah free, clutching like he'd never let go again. Scene 8, the escape. Sirens wailed. Grayson's men closed in. The council's operatives scattered. Adrian carried Noah through smoke and chaos, the boy sobbing into his chest. "I knew you'd come, Dad. I knew." Adrian's tears burned hot. Always. No matter what. Scene 9. Aftermath. Weeks later, inquiries tore through governments. Some council members vanished. Others were arrested. But many still walked free, too powerful to touch. Adrian sat in his penthouse, Noah playing nearby. Maya touched his hand. "You won," she said softly. Adrian stared out at the city. "No, I survived. There's a difference." Maya searched his face. "And what now?" Adrian looked at Noah. "Now I stopped fighting for empires. I fight for him." Scene 10, the open ending. Months later, Adrian received another envelope. Same seal, the serpent and crown. Inside, a single line. Wars end, councils fall, but kings rise. Adrian crushed the letter, his eyes cold. Maya stepped into the room. "What is it?" Adrian forced a smile. "Nothing, just ghosts." But as he tucked Noah into bed that night, the message echoed his mind. The war wasn't over. It never truly ended. And somewhere in the shadows, another serpent waited.